Time to start. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining another webinar from Excel in BI, which we call it Insights webinar. The intention of this webinar is to explain you different topics about data, especially in things that you use daily that it will help you to save you hours, minutes, or anything that it could benefit anyone who is working with data nowadays. You can be an accountant, you can be an engineer, you can be a project manager, or you can be just in the university and you would like to get some help to get some insights around data. This is the right place for you to turn up. Those videos are recorded in a live session. If you would like to go to any of the live sessions and express your questions, meanwhile we do those recordings, you can go to excelinbi.com/learn, and then you will find all the webinars available that are coming up. There's always something that is coming up, so feel free to check there, and then you will find more what are about the next events coming up. But I haven't introduced myself. My name is Ramon. I am originally from Chile, and I've been living in New Zealand for the last 8 years, and I've been spending my time around technology for the last 15 to 16 years. So it's something, and this is the place that I really love. So that's why you will see probably a lot of passion on me on this, because I would like the technology is enabled for everyone. Has been for me, has created enormous opportunities in my career, also in my personal life, and I would like to make more people benefits from it. That is why I do those free webinars. So there's no charge for you to join those free webinars, as they're free, of course, but I want you to try to get the most out of them. So if you have any question, feel free to connect or flick me a message, or you can find me in LinkedIn as Ramon Zamoran. Okay, so without further ado, let's jump into the topic today, which is something that I haven't speak for a while, but I think that is still super relevant. And so this is what I would like to share with you. Today we'll speaking about something that probably everyone knows, but sometimes we think that it's too basic to keep learning this, and something we believe is something that we already mastered. However, there are certain things that the more that I've been helping and working with people who like to get more from their data, I've seen a lot of roadblocks in terms of Excel. Excel been in the market for many, many months. And just to be more precise, I will put here Excel invention date. Okay. Excel has been released in 1985. Okay. As you can see, it's nearly, 15, nearly 40 years since we have Excel with us. And this technology doesn't look that it will disappear, even though that you have seen Claude dashboard, you have seen Power BI, Google Looker, Tableau, and so many different visualization tools. However, Excel still be the workbench for many people to analyze their data. So that is, I think, that is still relevant to learn Excel, especially the advanced things, because I remember that back in the time, you used to put in your CV that you are proficient on Excel, or you know the basics of Excel. And this is something that many people got more knowledge now. Even in the schools, they teach you how to use Excel. But if you go to a uni, probably you need to learn more advanced Excel tips, because especially if you work daily in spreadsheets, this is something that it will really set you apart, because there are people who spend 10 minutes doing one task in Excel, and exactly the same task done by another person without much experience, it can take days. And I have seen that, and I still seeing that nowadays. And so this is something that it could really bring you hours down in your daily work. And this is what we'll try to speak today, how you can save hours with Excel. Because if you've been doing this, you will see certain things that you will be probably highlight from your daily work. If you have any question, feel free to put them in the chat, or if you have any question, feel free to send us an email to contact@excelinbi.com, and then we'll be more than happy to reply any question related to Excel. Okay. So this presentation style is something that I've been experimenting for a few webinars in the past, and it's look like website, and this is what I will be putting the excelinvi.com later. So feel free to jump in there, and then you will see all those past events. Okay. So the webinars, as I just mentioned, are done for busy professionals, and you should be able to see immediately impact and after those webinars. And we are trying to eliminate repetition from this session from today, and of course, bring up your skills. So this is the intention from the webinar today. If you are looking for any of those benefits, this will be valuable for you. My name is, I just say, Ramon, founder of Excel and BI, and I have multiple skills under my hat. But today I will be speaking about data analytics, okay? Normally, this is the problematics that is something that is important us to fix, okay? Because most of your hours normally goes to copy and pasting from one Excel to another, redoing formulas every time that the source change. For example, if you have a formula that includes a date and then you import a data that includes another date, then you go and there you change the formula. However, the formula crash because it doesn't contain the same information, and then you need to redo it. That is time consuming, and also it can be prone to human error, okay? Then manually cleaning from messy important data. This is something that happened to us every day. So you go there and, for example, my name is Ramon and someone put a Ramone with the E and the N. And so you need to go manually change that, and every time that you import the files, okay? Other things are the VLOOKUPs. I don't know if you've been working in Excel for a while, but the VLOOKUPs is when you're looking for a certain information from a certain record from another sheet, and you want to bring them across to the sheet that you're working now. VLOOKUPs are quite limited, and it's something new that I would like to show you, which is called XLOOKUP, okay, which is another formula in Excel that I use it every time. And to be fair, even though that I do advanced analytics, advanced data engineering, Excel is something that I still visiting every week because it's my validation point, and it's still something like XLOOKUP. I use it a lot for validation. So I think this is a really important formula to learn. And then the other challenges that you face normally is building the same report over and over again. So you don't want to spend many hours doing the same report every time, isn't it? So this is something that will be covering it up. And the other challenge that normally people face when you are working with Excel long hours is searching for errors on large datasets, because you create a formula, you present it, but you're not 100% sure if the formula is showing the right results. And there are certain formulas that you can use to validate your results, okay? I will like to speak about Power Query, but however, I won't cover that much because that is a long topic, but I just want to tell you that if you've been working with Power BI in the past, Power Query is something that can really help you to save hours. However, today we'll be focused more in formulas, which is XLOOKUP and other formulas that I will explain you shortly. But Power Query is another layer from programming in Excel. In the past, you used to use Visual Basic, VBA in a spreadsheet, but that is getting out because especially if it doesn't work really properly in Mac, if you are using Excel in Mac, also on the websites, doesn't work as expected. So that is why moving to Power Query probably is a smart way to move. So this is something that it probably could be interesting for you to jump into it. We'll be reviewing XLOOKUP, as I just mentioned, and dynamic arrays and Excel tables. So be with me. So the last part can be seen properly because I have two zoom in. So now you can see. Okay. So this is what we'll be reviewing now. Let's jump into it. Okay. The first formula that I think that it can sell. If you are able to master these 6 formulas, okay, I'm counting down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I will leave out Power Query. Let's say that you are able to master those 5 formulas. You will be able to make a lot of progress in your Excel journey, and especially you will be able to save many hours just using these 5 formulas. You need to learn how to use it properly and how to use it great. In the past, we used to combine so many different formulas to get into this, but nowadays Excel kindly give it this to us to be able to get better into different formulas. Okay, so the intention is to save hours. This, if you are in this journey of saving hours with AI and that sort of stuff, this is also the good way to go. Okay, and yeah, so let's jump into what SUMIF means. SUMIF is a formula that it will help you to, for example, if you have a table with 100 records with different names, and for example, it's a timesheet that people record their amount of hours that they've been spending during the week. With a SUMIF, you will be able to summarize only the hours for a certain person. For example, Ramon has 100 different rows, okay, but we would like to sum what is there inside, and that is how SUMIF will help us. Okay, it's a conditional summarization from a table and only contain one criteria. Okay, so in this case, we'll only be looking for Ramon. Okay, however, there's another challenge because what about if in the same table there is something like the date? For example, I have all my hours tracked from April, June, May, July, and so on. But I would like only to bring the data from Ramon, but only from the month of August. So in that case, we will need to use a more compound formula, which could be SUMIF. With SUMIFs, you can start to include multiple criteria. I don't know what is the limit, but so far I haven't got into the place that I couldn't add as many conditions as I wanted. Okay, so the last time I think that the biggest one I have done probably ever has been 5 different criteria, which is probably way more than you need in normal cases. But SUMIFs is the way if you would like to include multiple criteria like the date, the week, the person, the department, and so many other things. You will see this example shortly, okay? Don't worry about it. Then we have XLOOKUP, okay? XLOOKUP is a formula that allows us to bring allow us to bring us value from different tables from different sheets, okay? For example, if you want to know, I have a table that contains all the time sheets from Ramon, and I would like to see how Ramon has been spending their hours for the type of topic, and I would like to find the topic relationship, and then you can have all the tasks that normally Ramon does. There you can use a XLOOKUP to bring those values across. I also will be showing this in a moment. There used to be a formula called VLOOKUP, and it still exists. However, it's quite limited. And in case that it goes from one column to a certain column from the first and then onwards, but however, the XLOOKUP is more wild. You can include any column that you're looking for without necessarily the relationship that all the columns that needs to be on the right. So it's a great formula to use. So then we have covered 3 formulas so far. SUMIF, SUMIFS, and XLOOKUP, which will help you to bring values across, okay? Then we have something called COUNTIF and COUNTIFS, which works pretty similar than SUMIF, but instead of to summarizing the value, we're counting the rows based in a criteria. For example, you would like to know how many time entries Ramon has in his timesheet. For example, he has 10 or 20 time entries, but you are not interested to know how many hours he has spent. You just want to track the number of time that he loads the time entry, okay? And the SUMIF, it can also include another criteria like the date, like the week, like the department, like different kind of things. So I also will be showing this formula in a moment. As I just mentioned, within these 5 formulas, you should be in a really good position to be able to reduce the hours in Excel. If you haven't used them in the past, I totally recommend you to test all of them, those 5 formulas, that's all. But you will see that you can reduce a lot of the time just copy and paste, And I have seen that people are still doing like seeing one sheet, copying the value manually, seeing the other sheet, copying the value manually, and that it can definitely produce errors. With this, I can guarantee you that your errors will reduce a lot. So I recommend you to jump into it. Okay. So how you can actually scale in your learning. This is something that I would like to show you. For example, if you want to go to practical examples, if you would like to do the cells by region, you can use a SUMIF, okay? If you would like to do the cells by region and the person, then you can start to use SUMIFS, okay? Or for example, if you're doing an inventory lookup, you can match the product with the amount of stocks, for example, or if you would like to do a KPI dashboard, COUNTIFS is something that is really could help you to summarize certain information, or weekly reports for Power Query. With Power Query, you can stop repetitive tasks. I don't know if you've seen Visual Basic in the past, but it was pretty much a software running inside your spreadsheet that allowed you to create multiple views of the dashboard. Okay, so this is the kind of thing that you can do with these formulas. Okay, and if you are looking for power tools, of course, here you will be in more advanced things, but here is the real basics. So you're gonna start from here and going down in terms of complexity of the thing that you like to achieve. Okay. Just to summary what we have covered today, we have covered the SUMIF condition, but before to get into the conclusion, which are not getting to the conclusion yet, I would like to show you an spreadsheet that I will be sharing with you now, which is in here. All right. This is an Excel sheet that I prepared for you. This with basic examples about those 5 formulas, sorry. And ideally, you should have Power BI. You should have Excel, okay? And even you can use it in Excel on the web. If you don't have the licenses to install Excel in your computer, I recommend you that you just can use the Excel on the web, okay? So this is a quick explanation of what we'll be covering here, and some if values, some values, and find retrieval data, okay? And this is the exercise for the SUMIF, okay? In the SUMIF, we have certain products. This is a demo table. And for example, I would like to categorize all the cells that come from Auckland only. So we can use the formula SUMIF. And the way how to do it is just to do this. So in here on the side, I will write it down from scratch. I say SUMIF. You see that gets, because we have this other formula which is sum, but sum is just a concentration of all the numbers. So we're not looking for that. We're looking for a sum if I would like to know the cells in Auckland. So firstly, you need to decide for the range of the numbers that you would like to summarize. Okay. Sorry. First is the range that you want to find the information. Okay. Here is where I need to find the information. Then the criteria, which is Auckland. You need to put it with double quotation because that is the way how text gets recognized in the formula, then comma, and the sum range that we would like to take, okay? With this, we'll get the value, and as you can see, it's just exactly with same of this, but I wanted to explain you. Here you can see the total revenue for Auckland, okay? But for example, let's say that you have the cities here, like Auckland and Wellington. I'm in New Zealand, so I put this example. So instead of to make the relation to this text, I just click here and I will bring all of the one from Auckland. You see, firstly, we found the criteria from where we should put in the range when we should find the city, and then the criteria, which is the city that we're looking for, and then the values, the range of the values that we're looking for. And here I just do this, and then it will do it for Auckland. However, if I do this, it will do it for Wellington, okay? But check this. if I do this, if I change it to Wellington, as you can see, there is no change here. And the reason why, because when I just take it and copy to the bottom, the thing that it does, it also move the values to the bottom. The way to stop that is just blocking the ranges, and you can do it like this. Just put in the dollar symbol, and that way you are blocking that the formula, it won't shift down, okay? Just like that. So now, even though that it moved to the bottom, it's still considering the same fields, okay? So if I change now this to Wellington, both values will change, and this one will be added up into Wellington, okay? This is the way how you do the SUMIF. Then you can do like a further with, for example, with consulting. This is another example, or you can do it with the total revenue, okay? Just sum the items that contain over than 40,000, and you can start to do multiple criteria, okay? So this is the way how we use SUMIF. This is more explanation, and then I will leave you this exercise for you to play around, okay? I will be sharing this sheet with you. Then we have the SUMIF. I would like to find the records that contain the information from Auckland and from Emma. I'm looking for Emma specifically because let's say that Emma sells for Wellington and Auckland. She sells for those two teams, but I would like to know only the sales from Emma from Wellington, okay? So the way how we can do that is to with a SUMIF with a S at the end, and that way we can include two criteria. But this is then the other way around. You remember that in the past example with the SUMIF, firstly I select the cities that we will be looking for, but in here we'll put the range that we would like to include in the summary, okay? And then comma is ask us about the range, which is this one. We're looking firstly for the city, comma, and the criteria is Auckland, okay? Then I would like to also look for Emma only. So I will select this second criteria. You see that it's a criteria range 1 and criteria range 2. So in the criteria range 2, I need to look for the names that I'm looking for, which is Emma. And I need to write it exactly the same, because something you will find it out that you face the error that if you didn't put the name right, like for example, Emma, this will give it to 0 because there is not EMA at the end. Another common challenge is that you have something like this. When you did a major copy and paste or cutting somewhere, you do this. And then also this, it won't be counted because this is not the same value. That space at the end, it won't be counted. So you need to be sure that it's exactly the same value, okay? Then we have another example with the total revenue in Wellington for training, okay? You can also do that. So if you're looking for a certain product, but if you like to look into more data, you can just ask to ChatGPT to create a big data set for you to play more with this. I will show you in a second how you can do that. And here are things that you can play around, okay? This is the SUMIF that you should be covering, and this is the kind of criteria and exercise that you need to do. So as I just mentioned, here you can put multiple criteria, and as you can see, for example, if I do a SUMIFs, I can do endless number of criteria. As you see, I keep going 15 criteria, 16 criteria, 17 criteria, 18 criteria, 20 criteria. I don't know how many criteria I can do, but actually I have only used top 5. But I don't need that. You need way more than that. Also, just remember that the too many transformation that you do in Excel is lower that it will become. So be conscious on that. Okay. But I just want to show you that if you want to do for more than one criteria, this is the way how you summarize values. Then we have the COUNTIF, which is exactly works the same as I will make this bigger. Much better. These were exactly the same as the SUMIF, However, instead of to summarize the values, it counts the number of records that are from Oakland. For example, I would like to know how many Oakland records there are in this list. I just want to count how many times Oakland appears. And as you can see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. But if you have an endless list, you just can do this. Sorry. I make the. All right, here we go. Sorry, I make the window small just by mistake. But here you see, for example, for Oakland, you can do a count if. Made a mistake there. A count if formula, and the range is Oakland. And the range is where I need to find the cities. And here is the criteria, which is Oakland. Okay, here is counting me the number of times that Oakland is saved, but I would like to then include just for the quarter how many times there are. But this is why we'll be reviewing the count if. As you can see, this works exactly the same as the SUMIF. You just put the range and then the criteria, and it will do the count for you. Okay, and this is where things get interesting. For example, you can do when it's greater than 50,000, count the records. So if you're doing a validation for certain information, this is the way how you can use the count if formula. If you want to go further, you can use count ifs, which helps you to add it up to or more criteria. For example, in this, we're doing just for quarter one, how many times Oakland appears in quarter one. So to achieve that, we do equal count ifs, okay? And the criteria range is, firstly, is this one. And I'm looking for Oakland. And then the second criteria is this one. And I'm looking for quarter one, okay? So that is telling me that 2 times appears for Oakland in the quarter one. You see that we have the quarter one here, and then we have 1 and 2 times Oakland, okay? Then you can do the same. How many times we have records with training and Wellington? And so there you can start to find, for example, if you're doing analysis of how many times we sell to a specific customer, this is something that can help you. And then you can see which you would like to see to which kind of item the customer bought, and this is the way how you can do it as well. Okay, here are more exercises for you to keep you challenging your ideas, but this is the way how you're going. And in count ifs, you can also use comparison like this. Okay, like a wildcards. But this Excel is fully editable, so editable. So you can just code into this formula. You can see how it has been done. Okay. And then we have, before to jump into Power Query, I would like to show you XLOOKUP. Okay. XLOOKUP allow us to bring certain information from for another table. For example, let's say that we have this table here. Okay. And I would like to know where all those people belong. Okay, I will put these people here, and I'll go to data, and I will remove the duplicates. Okay. Okay. All right. So all of these people, and I will sort it by alphabetical. So in this way, we see that in total we have Liam, Emma, Mia, and Noah. Okay. I would like to know for this person, for where this person belong. And the way how you do that, you just do a XLOOKUP and then say lookup for this value into this list. Into look for Liam into this column and return me from which city is this person. Okay. And if I don't found it, just bring me blank. Okay. Blank. And then you don't need that. So in this case, we'll just keep like this. So Liam is from Wellington. And remember that if I don't do this, if I just do this, this is still going down. So I would like to block that. So the way how to block it, you just put a $, in here. This is a shortcut to do it with the keyboard, but I don't want to confuse you more. So I just want to see if you can see now that is blocked. And now if I move this down, you can see that how you make the count. And then you can see the Noah belongs to Christchurch, Mia belongs to Auckland, and Emma belongs to Auckland as well. So this is the quick way to find that from where the people belong. This is how you use XLOOKUP. Pretty much you say that I would like from this person, bring me from where it is, and it will bring the value across. It won't summarize, it won't count, it will bring the value across. For example, I would like to know for Liam, if he's been doing training or consultancy, XLOOKUP. I would like to look for Liam into this list, and the return array is this. However, Liam probably has been part from training here. Liam has been part from consulting. So Liam has been part from 2 items, but here in the XLOOKUP, you always bring the first value that appears in the table. If you don't want that, you can go here in the match mode, and then you can say, bring me the smaller, the wildcard character, the regex match, or sort the list from last to first, okay? Or the binary, which it can bring you a different value. So if you don't want to complex match around, so just I want to show you that you can bring this as well, okay? So in here you can see for Mia where she is working and which kind of service she is providing. And this is how you can do as well, for example, XLOOKUP. And this is the comparison how you do a VLOOKUP with a XLOOKUP, okay? And for example, in here, there are no formulas here, okay? So in here you can see another example how to use these formulas. And here they're a bit more advanced, I would say, but don't stop to experiment with this because this is a formula I think that it will be really useful for you, okay? I hope that this is getting you closer to Excel instead of to pull you away. But if you would like to do this more advanced way, I would suggest you to use something like Power Query. But if you don't ready yet for advancing, don't worry about it. But if you want to, this information is available for you here. And the way how you do it is just going here into data, in the menu, data, here, and then get data from Power Query. Okay, here you're gonna start to do more stuff. You can bring data from another Excel, create a blank table, and start to do more transformation. But I don't want to confuse you more with that, but I think this is really powerful. But if you are not ready yet, don't jump there yet. But if you like to progress in Excel, I think Power Query is the way to go. However, if you would like to keep experimenting with Excel, I recommend you to play with these 5 formulas, okay? So let's wrap it up the exercise. I hope that you enjoyed. And now I will be showing again the presentation that I have for you, okay? So we have covered today the SUMIF, which is one condition for the summarization. We have covered SUMIFS, which is multiple conditions at once, XLOOKUP, how we can bring values across, and how we can use COUNTIF and COUNTIFS. We didn't cover Power Query because it's something that's for you to experiment because it takes a while to get your head around. So I won't be jumping into that. Probably I will be creating a webinar in the future for Power Query only. So be turn up to get into excelinvi.com/learn, and then you will find what are the next events coming up, which is we have KPIs for this 5th of June. Then we have automate your reporting and so on, multiple of them. And then those are past events. So if you want to see past events, just go there and then you will see everything. And also would like to invite you for my podcast. I have a data podcast. If you would like to get into more into data world, here's from where you're going to start on up and listen myself and Arjun in our webinars. Okay. Okay, this is me today. I hope that you enjoy it. I enjoy it so much to doing training and classes for you. The idea for you is to enable you better and new possibilities in your career. And this is where I'm here to help. If you want any help in the future relating to data with Excel, data consultancy, Power BI, data engineering, and that sort of interesting thing to build the foundation of data in your organization or for yourself to learn more, feel free to reach out. You can find us in excelinvia.com and we'll be more than happy to help you. So without nothing else to share, I would like to say goodbye for today, just for today, and you will see me again in 2 weeks more. Thank you very much for enjoying the time and having the time to join these live sessions. Have a wonderful day and see you later. Thank you very much.